This is Lance Archer, the American Psycho.
This is Brian Thompson, the voice of TCW Wrestling.
This is the original hardcore chair swinging freak of ECW, the one and only Axel Rodney. Yes, this is the Shockmaster, and you're listening to Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, the Shining Star, Rick Stein. I've got a whole bunch of guys with me. First, he's my partner. He's my sidekick. He's the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for having me once again.
And right over from the CWA, he's our good old friend, Joe. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. You can let go of the chains now. You can unhook me, so I promise I won't run.
And over from the West Coast, he's a Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, welcome to the show.
Joseph, if those chains were meant for you, then TNA is not the product for you to be watching.
Who says I watch it?
And then we have the incomparable Lance Moss over from Lance Moss TV. Lance, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Thank God I'm surviving the holidays.
You and me both. And I would also like to introduce our special guest from tonight. He is Mike Massacre from CWA. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. I got a question. How do you guys feel about getting murdered tonight?
Well, you know what? I haven't been murdered yet, but I'll let Andy go first, and he can tell me.
let me get Mrs. Marple on the phone or Agatha Christie. Just 1 second.
Here's the thing, Mike. You can massacre them. Andy deals with the paranormal, so he can actually resurrect everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why
I'll bring them all back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, before we get over to that, we got some fucked up news we got to take care of first. According to reports, Alberto Del Rio suffered a concussion this past Monday while facing Sin Cara, no less. The fucked up thing now is when Mystico was playing the role of Sin Cara, he was getting hurt. Now that Hunico is playing Sin Cara, other people are getting hurt. What the fuck's up with this? You know? WWE has changed Wade Barrett's name to Bad News Barrett on the roster page. This is to affect his recent gimmick change. Now, some bad news for Wade Barrett. Bad news Barrett. Is that his career is going nowhere. Andy, I think you told us something about this?
I'm sorry, I took my headphones off and just put them back on and heard you say, Andy.
Never mind. I was talking about your buddy Wade Barrett and how his career was going down the tubes.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, how long's he been in WWE now? 2 years? And I said from day one he wasn't going to make it. And my God, the Brit's right.
Yeah, in short, you basically told us so.
I just don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, I should be cheering on a British competitor, but the only trouble is he's about as British as Triple H. I bet if you look back in his history, he's never even lived in England because I don't know where he supposedly got that accent from. He's supposed to come from Lancashire, England, but he's got a Manchester accent. And I'm sorry, Manchester isn't in Lancashire. That's like saying he's got a Boston accent and he comes from California.
From the other side of the world, huh? Moving on, for those of you who are wondering, Jake the Snake Roberts has let everyone know that the WWE has not contacted him about this being in this year's Royal Rumble or has even been inducted in the Hall of Fame. However, P.S. Michael Hayes did invite him to go for a have a drink.
Wow.
Oh,
have a drink. I think Damien might be in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, they might induct Damien.
During the tag team match on Raw, Rey Mysterio was spotted limping around after he tagged out early in the match. What else is new there? I mean, he's always getting fucking injured. He's about as injury prone as more than Sin Cara is. I think they're going for for races who got more injuries.
I think Mysterio should just call it quits.
Yeah, you and me both. I have to agree there. And lastly, Hall of Famer Tammy Sytch was reportedly passed out on a doctor's table this weekend. This was when she was trying to get an epidural. And she was yeah.
Was she passed out or try and sleep with the doctor for $15 like she's charging on the internet at the moment?
Well, that's the funny part, because as she was coming true, she didn't know where she was, and she thought she was doing photo ops for fans instead of getting an appointment.
$15, you can snuggle up to even Dixie Carter these days for $15.
Yeah, she's going to need it.
Not included.
I'd rather snuggle up next to Jimmy Carter.
And that could go
Peanuts.
for a week.
At least I could play with his peanuts.
Oh, shit.
Wrong show.
Wow. Well, Michael, again, we want to welcome you here to our show. And first off, the question of the show is, how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for a little over 2 years now.
Wow, it's 2 years. So, what really inspired you to get into wrestling?
Growing up, I watched Ultimate Warrior. My first memory of wrestling was WrestleMania 6, Warrior versus Hogan. And ever since then, it was just my main focus of things that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Become old and bitter.
Become old and bitter. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all old and bitter here. So, who did train you? Who ended up training you?
I was trained by Magic.
Magic, who is actually also with the CWA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yep, he's a
So-
TV legend, Magic. He's been around for a while. He's been a former champion of mine in a previous organization, and he's going to be soon one of the new trainers at the CWA school.
Okay. Now, if you, what other places have you worked?
I've worked for CZW. I've worked for ECPW. I've worked for Beyond. I've worked for NWS, FWF, CWA, of course, and also UWA Elite, which is based in Jersey.
What do you have, for future goals? What would you like to do if you can?
Well, right now my main goal is to try to get into either PWG or get over to Japan and wrestle over there, and then my major goal is to get to WWE and wreak havoc over there.
If you could face someone over in the WWE, if you had a choice, who would you like to face and wrestle?
If I had a choice, I'd pick either Daniel Bryan or CM Punk.
So, you know what? I'm going to kick things over to Andy. I'll let Andy ask a few questions.
Okay.
Hi, Mike. Do you prefer Mike or Michael?
Yeah, Michael Massacre.
Okay, then, Mr. Massacre. If, as Rick's just said, if you could have any person from WWE, you've just answered that question. But what kind of feud, if you were in charge of the WWE and you were having a match against CM Punk, what kind of feud would you like? What if you were writing a storyline? What do you think would be a good storyline for you and him to follow through over the next, say, 6-week period if you were carrying a feud over?
That's a good question, actually. I think maybe we'd have to have a little feud over his little love puppet AJ. Because I've heard he's been banging her around a little bit. I think it's my turn now.
Do you think that the sorry to go back to WWE, but in your honest opinion, do you think the WWE has lost its way with wrestling these days? Is it getting too TV orientated and very little wrestling orientated?
Yeah, I think they are getting a little too into the entertainment bit. But I mean, they have been putting out really good matches with the tag teams, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, the Shield. They've been doing really fantastic with that. But, most of the storyline stuff is getting a little ridiculous at this point.
Who was your biggest influence when you came into wrestling? Who would you say gave you the biggest push? Not wrestler, family member, or was there anybody that gave you that little bit of a push that said, "Go on, son, you can do that"?
Honestly, it was all myself, and my dad helped too because he's the one that got me into wrestling when I was younger. But pretty much it was myself because everyone told me that you'll never make it. You're too small. You're too scrawny. You're this. You're that. But it was just all that. It was just all that pent up, I guess, frustration, aggression, or whatever, that I pursued it, and I'm trying to make a name for myself.
Where did you come up with the name Michael Massacre?
Well, my middle name is Michael, and it was just something that I saw on a website or something way back, and it was just something that I remembered, and it was just something that I thought would be cool and catchy, and it would catch people's eyes, so I decided to go with that.
And do you think it's one of those gimmicks that you can carry on through? Hopefully it will be one of those gimmicks you can carry on throughout your career, like Hulk Hogan's done, Ric Flair's done in the past, Ultimate Warrior. Do you think it's a gimmick that would go with the times, or is it a gimmick that would go with a set period and you'd have to chop and change to suit?
I believe it could keep going because there's a lot of different, like, horror type genres out there. I mean, there's the paranormal, there's the, the slashers, there's all this other kind of stuff that you can add and incorporate into the character that I think it could go for quite a bit.
Yeah, I think 99.9% of people, whether they admit it or not, even the females, everyone's hooked on horror films, scary movies. We all like to be scared shitless at the weekends when we go to the cinema. So I think it's a good play on words. Did you put the American Horror part in yourself, or did someone just say, why don't you call yourself the American Horror Michael Massacre? How did the American Horror part come? Did you just nick the title from a movie, or how did it come about?
Well, the original plan was, it was all from myself. Like when that show, The American Horror Story, came out, I incorporated that with my name because I figured, I could tell a different story with each match, and each as my character progresses, I could tell a different story. And so I came up with the American Horror. I just cut off the story part, and I feel that it flows very well.
With being in the UK, I'm not really familiar with what your gimmick is. Could you explain to people listening what your gimmick is that haven't had the pleasure of seeing your work?
Basically, my character is just someone, that was born into a maniacal family, and, he was born out of a town called Slaughter Beach, which is a real place in Delaware. And, he's just this crazy maniacal psychopath that has Joker-like qualities, but then he's got, like his whole horror side. It's just, he's an open book of just different qualities that he wants to express. He wants to show the fans that, he can, even though he's, not 270 plus pounds, and he can, roll with the big boys, and that he can make them terrified of this character.
Yeah, it's something that I think WWE could do with having some new characters. You'll have to get yourself along there and get yourself a tryout. Not that you should turn your back on CWA or Joseph so soon, but they do need some new characters in the WWE. It's lacking that they do need somebody that's up with the current times. And as you say, everyone's into horror movies. Everybody likes horror movies, and I don't think it's going to be one of those gimmicks. I mean, look at the Undertaker, for example. He just plays with people's minds. Even now, I'm one of the people who said he should have hung his boots up 4 or 5 years ago, but even now, he can still put the fear of God in the young fans that are standing in the theatre. What music have you got? Any particular music that you come out to? And if so, how did you pick that music, or was it picked again for you?
My song is by a band called the Butcher Babies. The song is called Here Comes a Massacre, and it was just perfect for my character because in the song it just basically says you better run because here comes a massacre.
Nice. I'll hand it over to Joseph, who probably knows a little bit more about the wrestling side. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully I'll speak to you whilst the show's going on, but I've run out of questions. So good luck with the future, and hope everything comes the way you want it to work.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, for all the fans that are listening in, we've been having a tournament for our new United States Championship. So far, it's come down to the American Horror Mike Massacre and the opponent who had an emergency, couldn't be on the show tonight. But I think Mike Massacre probably did something to him and locked him in the car or something.
Yeah, speaking of Steve Scott, he's a little tied up at the moment, if you know what I mean.
our August show, Summer Bash, Steve Scott defeated Dickie Ross to move to the finals. So these two will be meeting on December 21st at our Toys for Tots show in Paterson, New Jersey. Steve, Mike, we talked in the past. You had a great bout with Atomic Dog back in April. The fans were truly behind you, even though they were cheering for Dog as well. But you gave that big man versus almost like a little man type match. And I got to ask you a question. Me, coming from a managerial background, now a promoter, how did you feel being in there with a big guy like Atomic Dog?
Quite honestly, it didn't bother me. It doesn't matter how big the person is. It doesn't matter how small my opponent is. I show no fear, and I want them to understand that.
Okay. Now, you guys will be fighting for the inaugural U.S. Title that we came up with. This is a first-time era for our promotion. As you know, we were part of another organization. Now we broke away from it. We formed our own. So far, we've had one world champion, as in Jason Knight. The Fallen Angels became the tag team champions. And now to have like a secondary title, I can say that it's a pleasure to have both you and Steve Scott clashing for this title. Let me ask you a question. I know you both have met previously in other organizations. What are your thoughts on now coming into this match where now you're both fighting again? Now there's a new title on the line for a new company, which is ours. How do you feel about that, and what are your thoughts?
I feel very confident about this match. You know, Steve Scott, he could go in there with his cell phone. He could take as many selfie pictures as he calls them. He could do whatever he wants, but the fact of the matter is he's not going to see it coming when I destroy him on December 21st and take the CWA United States Championship.
Well, it's definitely a match I will be keeping an eye on. There is also a little issue. There is a situation that was presented to me by another wrestler. His name is Mike Donovan from Style and Finesse. Are you familiar with Mike Donovan?
Yes, I am.
Mike Donovan came to me and to the entire staff and basically wanted to prove how he could be a singles wrestler. And he basically wanted to be thrown into the U.S. title match. Since it was a tournament final, we were not going to allow it. But then given the situation that he was owed a championship rematch, Mike Donovan was supposed to get a tag title rematch against the Fallen Angels, but since his partner wasn't unavailable, he gave his waiver for a championship rematch. And unfortunately, he threw himself into the United States Championship. So instead of instead of Steve Scott versus Michael Massacre, now it's Michael Massacre versus Steve Scott versus Mike Donovan in a triple threat match. I know it's kind of a shock, but what do you know of Mike Donovan?
To tell you the truth right now, that I think it's a little bit of bullshit that he can just, insert himself into this match. But regardless of the fact, either way, I don't know much about Mike Donovan, but either way, that belt is still coming home with me.
Okay. Rick, right back to you. And thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, it sounds like you definitely got your hands full for that pay-per-view. So.
Pay-per-view? Yeah. I wish it was a pay-per-view.
Well, that show. Hey, I was trying to beef it up a little bit here, I try. But anyway, so right now you've probably talked about What do you think? What are your thoughts about TNA? We've talked a little bit about the WWE. Tell me what you think about TNA and the direction that they're going.
I think it's going right in the shitter.
Really?
Honestly, I don't watch TNA. I don't know what's going on. I mean, there are a couple wrestlers that are there or might still be there that I wouldn't mind working or wrestling, but at the current time, I don't know the first thing that's going on over at TNA.
All right, no worries.
Him and the rest of the Northeast or the rest of the country. Hardly anybody knows what's going on in TNA these days, including TNA.
All right, Lance, you got a couple of questions?
Yes, I do. If you could wrestle one man from the entirety of wrestling history, who would it be?
I think I'd have to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And why would that be?
Because he was the epitome of the Attitude Era, and I think that myself and him could have one hell of a clash.
And do you have any rib stories from backstage you could tell us?
Not really. I mean, I have seen some weird stuff, but I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything. But I have seen some weird stuff
You're
going
on
on.
Hardcore Wrestling Radio. That's what you're supposed to be doing here.
Okay, you know, I saw somebody put on a Honky Tonk Man's jumpsuit.
Well,
that was quite a sight.
All right, and we're gonna jump over to Will because I believe Will's got a couple of questions for you.
All right,
Michael. My question is to, and I can't even get my words right here. I can't believe what Lance said earlier. No, who was one of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Like I said before, my first favorite wrestler was the Ultimate Warrior, and then you know, the Attitude Era came, and then, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin was always right there. He was my go-to wrestler. He was my favorite wrestler of all time. And now, of course, myself, I'm my own favorite wrestler now. So, I mean.
Well, at least you're not like Fandango, so that's good enough. Next question is, you mentioned earlier that, you know, you don't watch TNA and everything like that, but I just have to ask this one to you. Do you see TNA even being alive in the next couple of years after all the turmoil that's been going on and whatnot? Do you see it even being in existence going forward?
If it is in existence, I believe Vince McMahon will own it, but it probably won't be called TNA anymore.
And what name would you call it if Vince did buy TNA?
Knowing Vince, it'd probably be called Superstars.
Jeez.
All right,
or it might be called No Longer Dixies.
Yeah.
That's what
All right.
needs to be called.
And finally, one more question. I'm gonna pass it back to Rick. Is there any advice you would like to give to up and coming wrestlers that want to come into the business? Is there any advice or warnings you want to give to any future stars that want to make it into the industry?
Don't do it. Just, you know, if you're around someone that's been, you know, in the business for a long time, listen to them. If they have instructions for you, if they want to give you advice, listen to them. Just keep your ears open and your mouth shut. That's the only advice I could give you right now.
All right, and that's Fact Point for you. Thank you, Mike, for your time, and congratulations on everything you achieved. I hope, like Andy said, you go forward and you do your best. So nice meeting you. I'm going to go pass it back to Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will. All right, well, we got a couple of usual questions. First off is road stories is what we usually ask. What kind of road stories would you say you have? Any interesting ones or fun ones?
On my way to one show, I believe it was ECPW, there was a funeral, or not a funeral, but there was, you know, a barrage of cars driving for a funeral, and there was a dude just in the middle of the street just waving traffic, and it was to me, it was the funniest thing one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because this guy was getting so frustrated because no one wanted to listen to where he was directing them, and that's about it. But other stories, nothing really comes to mind right now. Sorry.
All right, no worries.
Until he gets behind the CWA locker room, and then who knows what stories will pop up there.
And then, of course, we have with marry, fuck, and kill.
Okay.
All right, who wants to start this one off? You know what? Screw it. Here's a list that I gave the guys, and unfortunately, I got to give you the same list. All right?
All right.
Nicole Bass, China, Daphne.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Now, remember, the concept is you have to fuck one, you have to marry one, and you have to kill one.
All right, I'm killing Nicole Bass. I'll fuck Daphne and marry China because I don't have to touch her.
Very true. We never thought about that. If you marry, you just don't have to touch her. You don't even have to live with her.
Exactly.
All right. Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Well, at least he didn't say what I said. Kill Nicole Bass because he deserves it. I'm still waiting to see some DNA that's a female. Until I actually see that's a female, I'll never believe it. There's just no way that
it's definitely Nicholas Bass.
She's definitely a stunt double for China. Talking of stunt doubles for China, no. Have you? No, I'm not even going to. Even I'm not going to ask that question. Have you ever starred in any porn movies? No, even I won't stoop that low. If you were offered a job in a wrestling organisation, out of all the wrestling, well, there's only really one. I mean, Ring of Honor's a joke. TNA's an even bigger joke. And then you've got WWE, so it's a bit of a no-open question. But if you could work for any wrestling organisation, who would you work for and why?
Well, WWE, because I'd be on the main stage hopefully be on television, unlike Zack Ryder. But yeah, definitely, I would love to work for WWE. Like I said earlier, I would love to work for PWG. I'd love to go to Japan, even try out in Europe.
Why is it that most wrestlers always want to go and work in Japan? What is it about Japan that seems to breed or change the way a wrestler is? Because almost everyone
the American food that they serve over there.
Because it seems to be every wrestler that's made it big in the WWE has had some spell in Japan, and what exactly is? I mean, I've seen Japanese wrestling, and to be perfectly honest, I think it sucks. It's more.
Quite honestly, I just want to go to Ribera, the steakhouse.
I don't know if it's just me. I mean, I'm a big wrestling fan. I'll watch it. I'll even watch backyard wrestling if it's on TV. But I'll watch anything I can find on YouTube. I'll watch. But I watch the Japanese style of wrestling, and it's a bit too Power Rangers-y for my liking. It's
I grew up on Power Rangers.
Where they hit each other with shovels and deck chairs and barbed wire and glass, or it's a mixture of everything that's bad in American wrestling. Put with an audible soundtrack of
that soundtrack.
I just really don't know why people watch it unless they're Japanese, but obviously people must do. I must be the odd one out. I often wonder though, when you're doing the actual, when you're doing like forearms and you're giving it the give it that little bit. Do you have to do that out of sync when you go to Japan? Because if you watch a Japanese movie, everything's out of sync. The mouth goes, it stops, then the voice comes out. So when you're exaggerating the moves and putting the holds on and stamping the foot, is there a slight delay before we actually hear it on the TV? I've often wondered that with Japanese wrestling.
It's possible.
Where,
It'll be like Godzilla movies.
where is Joe? What's that wrestling that you sent us a link to last week?
Mike, you ever heard of the KU wrestling? It's guys that perform in costumes like giant monsters, boxes,
Yes.
and all that. Okay.
I know a couple wrestlers that performed for them at WrestleCon.
Right. I introduced these guys to it, and I says, guys, you know, because I never knew it was until I saw a square box guy, you know, a guy with a block head, and I usually thought blockheads were Charlie Brown, but here is this guy.
Well, it made me that ill, Joseph. I had to take last week off. I had phoned a sickie in last week. I was still emotionally scarred.
I thought it was from the Dixie promo.
Oh, jeez.
No, I've seen some stuff on TV, but I have never, ever seen anything like that, where they're fighting in model villages and things. I thought, what next? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Ever likely, even the referee wore a mask. Even he doesn't want to get recognised in the street.
Well, Mike, I think everybody was waiting to see what was the why would you go to Japan? You know, I know the reasons, but the fans will probably know. And what do you think of that? You know, Kaiju wrestling.
I think Kaiju wrestling is awesome. I would definitely dress up as a giant monster and wrestle.
Right, I'm writing that down.
Can we design your costume?
What would my costume be?
I'm working on it now.
Yeah. You'll just have to wait and see when I debut in Kaiju.
It'd be the Red Power Ranger.
Loser must wear a Kaiju costume in CWA. Got it.
Red Power Ranger. It's gotta be the Red Power Ranger.
Super Mario.
And about the Japan question, Mike?
I just feel like it's another culture that I would like to, that I would just like to wrestle in a different environment and see how it is over there. And, if I get my name out in Japan, I feel like, it would broaden my horizons to getting into WWE as well.
Now, what do you think about their new performance center?
I think it's great. I actually, I've been thinking about heading down there, actually relatively soon, probably around like June or July. I was thinking about heading down there for a week just to go check it out.
Well, I mean, a lot of the WWE is just bringing their talent strictly from, right within and just, pretty much creating wrestlers like, as well as some wrestlers would say, out of a petri dish.
Yeah.
Rather than from within, rather than having wrestlers such as yourself go around the world and wrestle around, in Japan and and other wrestling organizations. They want to say, we want to get you really young and learn our way and our way alone. Where many years ago you would go through all the different independent scenes or all the
territories.
Territories, exactly. So, and it just doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
I actually heard today that Ricochet might be getting signed, but that's Ricochet. He's really talented. He's a very talented athlete. I mean, I guess it's just pick and choose right now. I mean, if they're like a big indie name who they feel they can do something with, then that'd be great. But like you said, they are trying to get as many talented homegrown talents as they can. So I mean, at the moment I'm undecided. I do want to go to the Performance Center and try my luck there, and I do want to go around the world and wrestle around the world. So I mean, it's a tough decision, but I'm gonna have to make it soon. I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah. And that question, how old are you exactly?
I'm 25.
Okay. So now, actually, another person who's actually leaving TNA, who is a great talent, AJ Styles. Now he's 36. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about how he's going to several indie places. And for a while, they even said straight out that WWE is still not interested in him.
I I can't see WWE hiring him only for the fact that, like they are trying to homegrow their own talent. And AJ Styles has been around for a long time, and I'm pretty sure they have given him offer after offer, and he's turned them down every time. And, I guess after a while, you just don't care anymore.
You think he's pretty much, that door's been permanently closed, you think?
Probably. I mean, there might be that one opportunity that they may give him a contract, but I don't know if it's going to be what he wants.
Now, do you think he should go out and try the Indies? Do you think he should try to stay with TNA, which is a televised thing, or what's your honest thought?
Honestly, I think he'd be better off in the Indies. I feel he'd make a lot more money doing the Indies than he is in TNA right now.
All right.
Because I know Chris Hero, he was making, I don't only knows how much he was making in NXT, but right now I know he's making a hell of a lot more, traveling the world again on the indie scene.
No.
So, I mean...
Now, another real quick person that you did talk about, he was released from the WWE. He's now in TNA, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really impressed with his shooting. His wrestling skills a little bit better, and I'm talking about Ethan Carter. And a lot of people are rolling his eyes, and I'm getting a little sick of him. But do you think that was a smart move for him as far as a wrestling career?
Who?
EC3. Okay, you probably never mind then. That's enough on that conversation. Then I guess you don't know who he is. He's EC3, and some of the people who watch TNA know who he is. I don't know what his wrestling name was in NXT.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay then. Wow.
Shut down.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty hard. So, what did you think about Raw's ending?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the promos between Cena and Orton were both great. Orton finally delivered a good promo. I mean, it still seemed a little scripted coming from him, but yeah, his delivery was a little off, but I still think he did a really good promo. Cena went off. Cena is John Cena, you can't fault the guy. He's the face of the company, unfortunately, but the whole Triple H and CM Punk altercation, HBK super kicking CM Punk in the face, Daniel Bryan taking out Shawn Michaels, it all just turned out into chaos, and then Orton taking out Stephanie McMahon, it reminded me of the Orton and Triple H feud a couple years ago when Orton, DDT'd Stephanie, and then a couple weeks ago, we want the old Orton, the one who RKO'd my wife, and here he is, and now he takes your wife out again, and then you're going to get pissed off at him. I mean, it's WWE, you're supposed to forget about this stuff, but I still thought it was a fantastic ending.
Yeah. All right. Andy, real quick, what did you think about this Raw segment?
Apart from the CM Punk one beginning of the year, I think it's the best thing or the best ending to Raw that they've had for a long time. As I said before we came on air, really, I don't know whether it was kayfabed or whether it was a shoot or a bit of both, a work shoot. I'm not sure, but it seemed John Cena is one of these people. I know a lot of people hate the guy, but he is where he is for a reason. He is up there with the all-time best people on the microphone, and he just goes to prove that you don't need the best wrestling skills to make it in the industry. It's not all about wrestling now, it's about presentation, and unfortunately, love the guy or hate him, he's got everything that they want in a superstar. He's photogenic, he can hold it with the big boys in the ring, he can have entertaining matches, and as someone coined a phrase, and I'm sure it was Al Snow, he could have an entertaining match with a mop. He could. He carries a lot of his matches, and that's why he is where he is. I just don't know why people keep saying, "Oh God, it's John Cena again." The only people that can come anywhere near John Cena are Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. Oh God, I forgot his name.
He was unforgettable.
Yeah, he's that good. I can't even remember his name. But there's probably 3 or 4 on the roster who can hold their own against him. CM Punk. Them are the only people in the industry I could see that have got any longevity, and they are all mid to late 30s, so they're going to be getting out of the business soon. I mean, we've had Dick Jiggler, who's had a go. We've had the Smiz, who's had a go. And what have they done? Absolutely nothing. They're just mid-carders at best. I mean,
but,
what was it, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, everyone was giving Dick Jiggler going to be the next big thing, and I said that bloke's a complete clusterfuck waiting to happen, and he is, and it has. Same with Wade Barrett. What's happened to him? Everybody that they seem to give a push, Conor Hackett. Everybody, even Cody Rhodes. People were singing Cody Rhodes' praises. I can honestly say the best match I have ever seen Cody Rhodes in was with him, Goldust, and his father 3 weeks ago on Raw. That's the best match I've ever seen that guy have. And he was carried by his father and his brother.
Joe, let me ask, with Andy, would you say that Cody Rhodes has been carried by his brother, or would you just say he's gotten better? What would you say?
I personally think Cody Rhodes is there because of his brother and his father. And I don't think he's got the ability to shine on his own. He is one of them wrestlers who has to rely on being a third-generation wrestler, second-generation, whatever he is. He has to rely on his parents, their ability to put him where he is. Randy Orton's way surpassed his grandfather, way surpassed his father, so at least he's earned his spot. Cody Rhodes is there for one reason and one reason only. He's Dusty Rhodes' son.
Well, and I have to agree with Andy on those couple of steps, but ever since he started teaming up with his brother and the influence of his father, whatever you could say, Cody Rhodes has improved. He has that passion in his eyes. His promos are starting to get better. His ring skills has definitely increased. Here's a guy that started doing moonsaults and flips off the top rope. He started becoming more agile. He put on some body mass. He's, by his association in the ring with his brother and his father, it's actually really improving his career. So, do
you think, though, Joe, that the reason why he's doing that, because when his brother and father are ringside, do you think he's got something to prove?
Absolutely. Anytime you're in the ring look at Goldust. Goldust has been in the WWE, WWF during the Attitude Era. He's won the Intercontinental title. When he was in WCW, he's won tag titles and other titles. When you're in the ring with a veteran like that, then he's your brother. You want to try to either match up with him because people are going to say your brother's always going to be better than you. So he's going to try to – I don't think there ever will be a brotherly real heat between the two, but I can see them trying to encourage him to move past Dustin. And right now, that's what you're seeing. He's trying to compete against his brother without actually showing it. But he's improving himself. Again, promo-wise, ring skill-wise, you could see the passion is back in him. You can see him really trying to take it to the next step. So Cody Rhodes is improving, and he could be, obviously he'll never be another singles champion. He should always be like a tag team competitor, like pretty much Dustin was in WCW. That's my opinion, but he is greatly improving.
All right, Lance, give me your thoughts. Do you think about Monday Night Raw and whether you think Cody can improve or not?
Well, Jim Rome had a phrase he used to use that I'm going to use for Monday Night Raw. Phenomenal. And Cody, they might be trying to see if he can get a little rub off of Goldust to actually get him a push.
Good enough. And Will, your thoughts?
What was the question?
Well, we were talking about Monday. We're talking about Monday Night Raw.
He is.
Yeah.
Put down that nudie magazine, you.
Yeah, we were talking about Monday Night Raw, and we also subbed off to Cody Rhodes and how he's if he can improve at all.
Oh yeah, like I said a couple weeks ago, and Joe changed my mind. Yeah, I think Cody Rhodes throughout the last year has very much improved because in 2011, reports they were saying that they were about to give up on him, but I mean, now that his ring work is gotten a lot more better, he's improved on spots. I mean, now that he has him tagging up with his brother, tag team titles, everything, I would love to see how this would progress. And unfortunately, when it will split. But overall, Cody Rhodes, I can't say nothing bad about him. Just very good, everything about him. I say repeating myself more badly than cold weather, but I mean, I almost gave up on him myself, but thanks to Joe, and had to watch a little bit more videos of how he improved and be more connected to his brother. But I like how he improved by far. I mean, I can't wait for the next couple of years to see if he can go for maybe a possible world title run. Probably not, but I'd like to see one.
All right. Now you also, Michael, said you're a big Ultimate Warrior fan.
Yeah.
Just growing up as a kid. Now, you probably saw the original DVD that they came out, which was the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, which was total crap. I'm not sure if you liked it or if you disliked it. I thought it was pretty much a biased, slanderous bullshit.
Yeah, it was pretty much a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, WWE, I guess they're going to be coming out with a second DVD for the Ultimate Warrior, which is it's a 3-disc DVD, and it's coming around the time that they plan on, I guess, inducting him to the Hall of Fame.
Oh wow,
It's going to be this year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope.
So I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I hope it's a better DVD than the last one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the WWE has, rebuilt its bridges between the Warrior and the WWE in this past. A lot of people really didn't like the gave the Warrior a hard time for a lot of his promos and a lot of his ring work. Now, me as a kid growing up, I really liked the Warrior. I mean, I saw it for what it was, I guess you could say. As a kid, yeah, he was a supernatural character. His matches, yeah, okay, they weren't the most technical wrestling moves, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. What was your thoughts as him growing up?
Pretty much the same as you. All I saw was the face paint and the tassels and the running, the energetic music. It was just something that really got me pumped up every time I heard his music. And, like you said, his matches weren't that great, but, there was just that, that power that came from the Ultimate Warrior that just, it was kind of like a, like mind control. You see Ultimate Warrior and it's like, oh shit, now you gotta freaking jump up and down and start acting like him and like you're, like pulling on the ropes and shit like he used to do and everything. And it's just, it was just colorful and everything, and it just drew you into it. And I think that's pretty much what drew me into liking Ultimate Warrior when I was a little kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was all the kids' fantasies. And I think, like I said, if there wasn't a lot of issues with the Warrior in his early careers, we probably would have seen him right through his, career. But
do you know what really annoys me about people that disrespect the Ultimate Warrior? It's always the fact that, the Ultimate Warrior used to be a bodybuilder and he only came in for the money, blah, de blah, de blah. I don't want to piss on people's bonfires here, but if you watch the Sting video, the story of Sting, actually told by Sting himself, Steve Boorman, whatever his name is, they were both bodybuilders, and they were bought in as bodybuilder come wrestlers. So are you going to disrespect Sting as well? Because he did exactly the same thing. The difference is he hung around. The Ultimate Warrior made a couple of $1 million and left. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Make some money and leave. He's never confessed he's the best wrestler in the world. But people knock him for it. And another person, Bill Goldberg, he was in it for the money. He wasn't in it for the love of the sport. Does he get disrespected for it? No. Yeah. Why do they have to disrespect the Ultimate Warrior? He did nothing wrong at all.
He just did what he said he was going to do.
Now, I have a question for the panel. If you guys recently, and for the fans who've paid attention to the WWE, you notice how they're slowly bringing back the characters, the Ultimate Warrior, They actually, pinched, hit, little teased a bit about Hulk Hogan. They were in talks to putting in Randy Savage in the Hall of Fame. And there's a pattern of, I don't know if it's they want to kind of re-educate the fans on who their biggest cartoon characters were, or they're looking to try to market as much money from that to try to bring more audience back. Because I noticed since the Warrior's back, everybody's talking about it. Since the little thing about Hulk Hogan being talked about with John Cena, that got the buzz. When The Rock came back, who knows if Austin's coming back. It's stuff like that, and then bringing, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart back occasionally, Mick Foley. Do you guys see that they're looking to kind of drag those guys back in to get like a much more pop or much more ratings, or try to market again these guys?
Well, you know what? We did talk for a moment about, there were rumors that they were going to have John Cena, at least Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, and there was a possible Hulk Hogan and John Cena somewhere in a match, whether it was in a match or even tagging in a match. Now, we've already talked about this more than once on the show, and I'm sorry, I just think Hulk Hogan's just far too old for it.
Yeah, Hogan can barely move. If they bring in the star of Hulk Hogan, he'll get a pop, but I don't think he should be wrestling.
Right. If he stood in John Cena's corner and kind of came down and just said, all right, Cena, I'm going to hang in your corner, and he's going to wear a John Cena, and Cena came down in Hulk Hogan's colors, and you know what I mean, something like that. Like, you can't see me in Hulk Hogan's colors. It would sell. It would work, and they'd get the pop. But come on, you don't need this. Hogan doesn't need to wrestle.
Yeah, and who would Hogan wrestle? Would they bring back Ultimate Warrior to wrestle Hogan in a tag match?
Oh, that would be ugly. That would truly be ugly.
Here is the opponent. Since it's WrestleMania 30 years of WrestleMania, if Hulk Hogan is there, you gotta have Roddy Piper, because both of them started the first WrestleMania. That's what you probably will see.
Oh God!
Can I run? Can I just run something by the panel before we break off? This is something that was brought up by the TV show that I won't give them any plugs. The TV show that's on in the UK that you can actually pick up in the States on YouTube, and it's something that never crossed my mind. Everyone last year and even this year, there's been talks of Sting is coming to the WWE to fight the Ultimate Warrior, to fight the Undertaker for the 30th.
Again.
Yeah, the rumours are flying around, and they came out with a comment which never ever dawned on me. And for the fans that think it's going to happen, it's not going to happen, because do you think Sting is going to sign a contract on his first ever WWE appearance? He's going to have to lose to the Undertaker.
Oh, we've been saying that for like a couple of years.
It's just not going to happen. And do you think the Undertaker's going to want to drop his 12 million and 0 streak? That streak's never going to die. And there's no way Sting is going to go and basically job out to the Undertaker on the WWE stage.
Yeah,
it's just
I agree.
Not going to happen. So stop putting it on the internet. It ain't going to happen. It's that simple. Now, is Sting going to beat The Undertaker? If Sting beats The Undertaker, they would expect Sting to stay with the WWE for 3 or 4 years just to prove that he is better than anyone that The Undertaker's fought over the last 4 million years. And he ain't going to do that either. It's going to be a one-night deal if he ever comes to the WWE. Certainly won't be fighting The Undertaker. Yeah. That's guaranteed. A man who's as big as Sting, in his own mind, in my opinion, because I've never rated him that much, but a man who's as big as Sting thinks he really is he really going to ruin his career by his first ever appearance on the WWE and he loses to a guy that we all know is incapable of fighting these days? Nah. Put it in Santa Claus's stocking.
Yeah, I have to agree with you right there, Andy. It's just, I've been saying no for the past 2 or 3. They've been saying it for at least 5 years.
I mean, we all know in the real world, even my grandmother could take on the Undertaker how he is these days, because the man's just a joke to watch. He's living on his reputation. The man, he can't go anymore. The man is embarrassing to watch.
You watch his match, and this is exactly how it goes, okay? Person comes in, CM Punk comes in, last match, comes in, beats him with an inch of his life, controls the match the entire match. Last minute, Undertaker supposedly gets a burst of energy, sits up, gives him a tombstone. Undertaker wins. Hello? That's worse than Hulk Hogan coming back, doing the hulking up, pointing at the finger, and then, giving a clothesline and a leg drop.
That's what he's done on the last 5 years, and people have just marked out about it and said, oh,
exactly.
The Undertaker match was fun. For the last 5 years, the Undertaker matches have been embarrassing. They've been.
It is.
As we've always termed, when the Divas come on, it's time for the piss break. When I hear the Undertaker's music on WrestleMania, I go for a shit break.
Yeah, the only time I can say it wasn't a total shit break was HBK and Undertaker won. The second one was just like it was like hitting the rewind button.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Taker and CM Punk.
I thought the HBK match was a bit embarrassing.
I couldn't enjoy it because I knew who was going to win. I knew that he had no plans on winning. It was, you know what I mean? Punk carried that match.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
the only reason why it was halfway decent.
And I was there, and I was drunk too. So I guess that could be why I.
Oh, if you're there, of course you're gonna love it. There you go.
I know you enjoyed him.
Is it the predictability lately that kind of, turns fans away from wrestling? Because Rick, we've been on, I've come on this show many times, and we've called pay-per-views, and we've been able to call it directly down the line because it's been so predictable. Gentlemen, has wrestling been such that nothing surprises you anymore?
No, not at all. And you know what? I think that's why I was starting to call it World Wrestling Predictability instead of World Wrestling Entertainment. Yeah. It's just that bad, guys.
It's bad when you watch a 3.5 hour
It's the damn
Raw.
internet.
Yeah, it's bad when you watch a 3.5 hour TV show called Raw, and the only thing you can talk about is the last 15-minute segment, which was talking and not wrestling.
And the best part of the segment was the fight at the end.
Yeah, that's the most unpredictable thing that there was on Raw. The only thing that I got a bit upset about, I don't know if it was just me, but if you've got it on DVR, please watch it back. The moment everybody starts kicking off, just look at Bret Hart. He sort of looks at people as like, what the fuck? I don't know if he's got Alzheimer's. I know he's had a stroke. I don't know if he's got Alzheimer's as well, but it was like, what the fuck? Stop that look on his face. And he sort of stood there, and they had to push him out the ring. It's like, go on, Bret, we can have a fight now.
It was the spirit of Stu Hart controlling him. Hey, what are we doing there? What's going on here? Hey.
It would have been good if he could have put the sharpshooter on, but I think even he'd have messed up the sharpshooter.
It would have been funny if he would have just, as soon as Shawn Michaels went down, it would have been funny if, he just decided, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this and just put him, Bret would have put Shawn in the sharpshooter.
I'm an HBK mark, but that would have been funny.
Put a Canadian flag over him.
What's even more sad, I'm sorry, but what the fuck is with Booker T's hairdo lately?
You mean the Flintstone hairstyle?
The Wilma Flintstone hairdo, yeah, that shit's not rocking. I'm sorry, no pun intended. I was like, Jesus Christ, he needs to change it all.
Trying to be one of the Nitro girls with his wife.
I think the best part of that segment though was CM Punk's facepalm when Stephanie was calling Triple H one of the best champions ever.
Did he do that?
Yeah, you could see him in the background. He starts cracking up and he facepalms.
Wow. I didn't catch that part.
Here's a question that I'm going to throw at, and I'm going to throw it at Mike. Because Mike, my days of being a manager back in the old, indie era, of the 90s, I had to deal with, we had regular wrestling, then ECW hit, and everybody became hardcore, But you as an active professional wrestler now, how do you see the indies today? What are your thoughts on the business as you see it now?
I think the business has changed a lot since, when I was growing up and watching it. When I was growing up, hardcore matches were happening a lot more often. Now, you see them very scarce. it's when like they started bringing in like cage matches and the scaffold matches and all this crazy ridiculous stuff. And nowadays you don't really see that. I mean, sometimes you see like the Rhino matches. Like I just saw a match the other night with Rhino in it, and they used chairs and he gored his opponent through a door. Like times have changed a lot in what I see in indie wrestling. Personally, I'm not a fan of hardcore wrestling, but I mean, it is what it is. I'll still watch it if it's on, or if I'm at a show or working a show and there's a hardcore match, I'll peep out and look at it, see what's going on. But I mean, like, hardcore wrestling has pretty much ran its course, and now indie wrestling is more what seems to be like technical wrestling, like a lot of Chris Benoit style matches.
That's what I think's lacking at the moment. A lot of proper Chris Benoit, William Regal type matches. That's what's lacking. Proper wrestling.
Exactly.
Not the television bullshit that we're getting watered down. Couple of throws against the ropes, couple of kick out. That's another thing that really makes my blood boil. When someone has a finishing move, I'm sorry, it's a finishing move for a reason. You don't kick out of finishing moves, or finishing moves don't mean anything anymore.
The only way anyone should kick out of a finisher is if the person is the champion. That's how I see it. If you're not the champion, you should not kick out.
Wrestlers should work up to the finishing move, and when it's about to come off, you should think, "Oh shit, game over," and that's how it should be.
Yes,
a wrestler
exactly.
should not put himself in that position where the other wrestler puts his finishing move on him.
Yeah, once someone kicks out of your finisher is pretty much not even a finisher anymore.
Yeah, it's just a move that's in your repertoire that doesn't mean it. And I think the worst finisher of all time has got to be the Rock Bottom. If he just did the leg sweep and threw him down on the floor, then pinned him, I could go with that. But throwing his armbands or whatever into the crowd first, then bouncing off one rope, bouncing onto the other rope, I'm thinking, this is lame ass. This is worse than the leg drop.
Oh, the elbow.
Hogan. Yeah,
that's the people's elbow.
Yeah,
the Rock Bottom is a little bit better. That's like an enziguri.
That's
which is
just
cool.
such a lame ass finishing move.
Well, it's just like John Cena's five knuckle shuffle. If it's a real fight, am I actually going to lie there for 5 minutes while you wave your hand in my face and bounce off the ropes? No, but
yeah,
but how many times has he done that? He goes right over him. You can't see me, and then they kick out, and you think, well, why didn't you push his hand out the way? Because if someone waved their hand in my face saying you can't see me, I'd say I fucking can.
If somebody tried that, they get immediately fired because it's John Cena.
It's just such a, I don't know, finishing moves don't mean nothing, and they shouldn't call them finishing moves anymore.
No, they shouldn't. They're all just signature moves anymore.
The only time the finishing move actually works is when you're playing the WWE game.
Not even.
Yeah, if the computer puts it on you, you're guaranteed lose. If you put it on the computer, the guaranteed kick out every time.
I did that WrestleMania mode thing, and the last match of John Cena and The Rock was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done in my life. Literally, you had to counter every finisher, and it was just so ridiculous.
Who do you think has been missing, before you go, who do you think's missing in a WWE game? Who would you like to see in a game?
Oh, man, there's a lot of people. I mean, they finally put Warrior in it, so I can't say him. Maybe Kurt Angle. I mean, you can create him, but,
somebody that's there with everything, the music and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good, Kurt. I never thought of Kurt Angle. As long as I was hoping you weren't going to say, what I heard someone mention this on an internet forum, and I thought, that person really does want Get a Life. The Iron Sheik.
Who's this?
The Iron Sheik.
Fuck you.
It'd be funnier
all
as
he
hell
could do is talk a good
sleeping
match.
every damn thing he said, but
Yeah.
Fuck you, Vince McMahon. All he could do is talk a good match.
I wouldn't mind.
He was
I wouldn't mind Dean Malenko in a game either.
All you'd have to do is drop a couple of pills on the floor, and that'd be it for the Iron Sheik. Fuck the match. Fuck the match. Give me a crack pipe. Imagine a little 7-year-old playing WW. Dad, what's a crack pipe? It says the Iron. A little blip's just come up on the screen and says the Iron Sheik is shit-faced. What does that mean? Or he's no-showed.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here, guys. First off, Michael, I really want to thank you for coming on tonight and joining us. We were supposed to have Too Hot Steve Scott on, but unfortunately he did have family issues, and we wish him and his family the very best, and we hope we can get him on here some other time. Andy, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you at?
Yes, you can find me on the normal social media networking sites, but if you want to see an insight of what I do in the background, go on to www.stokehaunted.com and we'll scare the shit out of you, I promise.
All right. Will, why don't you tell everyone what you got going on over on Facebook and WGS TV?
All right. Well, I write articles, post funny pictures, and I just found out recently that WWE does comics. Oh, joy. But you still ain't better than Marvel. But other than that, tomorrow I will announce the face and heels of the week. So stay tuned, fans, all across the country.
All right. And Lance, why don't you tell everyone all about Lance Moss TV?
I do album reviews, NASCAR reviews when it's in season, Q&As, cooking videos, and whatever else pops into my head. Go check it out.
All right. Make sure that is over at youtube.com/LanceMossTV. And Michael, again, like I said, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us all about you and where they can find you at?
You can find me on Facebook under the American Horror Michael Massacre. You can search me on YouTube, same thing, Michael Massacre. I have a Twitter account, but unfortunately I cannot remember what it's. Oh, wait, I believe it is at Massacre UWA Elite, I believe. It's something like that on Twitter. But yeah, try to find me on Facebook. Also on Instagram at AHS Michael Massacre. And it was great talking to you guys. I enjoyed myself. Thank you.
And like I said, you're always welcome to come on over and just shoot the shit with us. We're on here almost every week, so feel free to come on.
All right, sounds great.
And we'll post your details with your permission on the Facebook page, so people come onto the Hardcore Wrestling Facebook page, they can get links to your websites and various other pages.
And Joe, are you back with us?
Absolutely, here I am.
All right, Joe, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at?
Well, folks, you can find us on Facebook at Classic Wrestling Association. You can also find us on our website at ClassicWrestlingAssociation.com. We also on Instagram at Instagram.com/Classic Wrestling Association. Woo! You can find us on our Twitter channel at Pro Wrestling CWA and on our YouTube channel at CWA Classic Pro. Now I can breathe again. Whew.
Well, not yet, because you do actually have a special event coming up this month, don't you?
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. See, the old-timers coming in because I'm an old guy. We're actually on December 21st, Saturday, up in our new CWA arena in Patterson, New Jersey. We're having our CWA Live Toys for Tots show. It's a Saturday starting at 6:05. For you old classic fans who remember wrestling back in the day, Saturday 6:05 was a pivotal moment. You can come to our show. It's $10 a ticket for people who don't have a toy. If you have a wrapped toy, or unwrapped toy, then it's $5 per person. And our show address is 468 Toa Avenue on the corner of Jasper Street. You'll see us there. And again, that's December 21st, Saturday at 6:05, CWA Live. You can also go to our website, again, ClassicWrestlingAssociation.com, and get all the details there. Now I can breathe.
And you will also see the American Horror Michael Massacre become the CWA United States champion. Thank you very much.
All right, and don't forget, you can also find Hardcore Wrestling Radio over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Check out our YouTube page, that's youtube.com/HWR Show. And we are, let me get my tongue out of my mouth and start again. We are also back on Spreaker. We're having all our Spreaker listeners, that's Spreaker.com/HWR Media. So for everyone here, I'm the Shining Star, Rick Star, saying we'll see you when we see you. Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on our pages, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio and Spreaker.com/HWR Media, and also on youtube.com/HWR Show. Until the next time, this is Rick Starr saying see you when we see you.